Good morning, everyone. It's Monday. Are you ready for another week? Last week was Thanksgiving, and I feel that we really had a good week. I know we played some shows that we had previously recorded, but my goal was that we really turn to the Lord and be thankful. I felt that was it. I enjoyed that. But I also wanted to this week do something different and fun, maybe something we've never done before, and that is exactly what we are going to do. I thought, well, where do I enjoy going? And my number one answer, maybe even for some of you, it's the beach. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go to some of my favorite places along the coast. And I'm not even going to tell you where we are. And so we're going to kind of play a game that you guess where we are. And then every day we're going to find a spiritual application to that place, including today. We're going to start Monday off with one of my favorite places altogether. So watch and see if you can. Actually, I'm going to give you a clue. Let me give you the verse for the day. It's kind of a different type of verse, but you're going to see how it applies. In fact, as I talk about while we're there, I'm going to mention this. So in Exodus chapter 14, it says at verse 21, Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove back the sea with a strong east wind, and he turned it to dry land. The waters were divided, and the Israelites went through the sea on dry ground, with a wall of water on their right and on their left. And you know this story. I'm sure that was enough of a clue for you to pick up. We're talking about when the Egyptians were coming to recapture their slaves, and they're at the Red Sea. And Moses stretched out his hand, and the waters were divided. It's a great miracle, and one that we learn as kids, but it's one we should never forget. And so I reference that in this first place that we're going to visit this week. Watch this and see if you can guess where we are. Okay, so here we are. A little loud. Can you guess where we are? Well, you know we're at the beach, so you got that right. Let me pan around. There's some surfers down there. Down there, that's actually the Newport Pier. I'll show you the beach too. Let me continue to give you clues of where we are. For me and my whole life, this is the best body surfing beach that I know of, other than in Hawaii. I came here as often as I possibly could. All through high school, we would drive down almost all the time. Love the shape of the waves. Look at that cut you could get right there on that wave. Even on graduation night from high school, the school threw us an all-night party, and when it was over, like at 7 a.m., where'd we go? Not to bed, we came down here to go body surfing. That was from Covina High School. Another thing about this place, both of my daughters, after the reception, they came down here for their wedding pictures to be taken by the photographer right here on this beach. Stacy and Ben, some of you know, my daughter Stacy and her husband, their reception was in Clubhouse too. And when that was over, we came down here. Now here's what I wanted you to see in the lesson for today, before I tell you where we are. Notice how when the sand and the wave comes up, how fast the sand dries. And I relate this to when the Egyptians crossed the Red Sea, and it says that the waters were pulled back by the Lord, and they walked across, the Israelites, on dry land. I always wondered about that myself, because
I thought, how could it be dry? I don't. You probably never even thought of it like that, what it was about. But watch this. Here's the wave come in, and as soon as it goes out, it looks dry. It looks dry. Don't you love that sound? Ah! It almost got me. It almost got me. Oh, look at these good waves. Shouldn't we be riding that? Love it. Love it. Good ride. All right. Yes, we're at 15th Street on the Balboa Peninsula. Look at the shape of that wave. Look at how you could ride right off of that. Awesome. I love it here. I've always loved it here. Thanks for coming down here with me. I'm glad you're here.
Okay, did you get it? Did you get it? Probably some of you did and some of you didn't, and some of you probably say, why is that part of the beach any different from any of the rest? And there's one reason that I didn't actually mention in the video, and I don't think you could pick it up. I actually showed it twice, but you wouldn't know what it was. But there's one reason that's a great beach that I didn't mention. There's restrooms there. They're right there. And so that was always a plus for us that we didn't have to go very far, but it's a great spot, and encourage you. The parking is really good too. So encourage you to go down there and give it a try sometime. But as you noticed, when I showed the ocean and how it would wash up, and then when it goes back, it's like dry. And let me just read this passage again. Exodus chapter 14 at verse 21. And then Moses stretched out his hand over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry land. Now, most of us, when we read that story, we're interested in the walls of water. And what a miracle and what a great thing it was that God could do that. You know, for me, that's never been that big of a thing. I see how the Lord moves in, waves in the ocean, or in a lake for that matter either, are formed by the wind. And God forms the wind. So for me, he makes huge waves all the time. And it was never that big a deal for me that he could form the walls of water. He just had the wind go down the middle, form the water. Not a big deal. Well, it is a big deal. But the point being that for me, when I read that, based on what my experience has been, I was always fascinated. He turned it into dry land. That's a miracle too, in a way. And so I just encourage you, when you read the Bible, even look at the fine details. God did it. And of course, I showed it right there on the beach at 15th Street, that he's still doing it right now. But that was not a big deal. They did get to go through on dry land. I'm convinced that God even dried up the puddles. He could do it all, couldn't he? Well, we're going to have a similar day every day this week. I can't wait. I hope you look forward to it also. And we'll be back here tomorrow to enjoy another beautiful place in this local area that's been meaningful in my life. And I just pray you enjoy this week as I do too. Thank you. See you tomorrow. Bye.
Beautiful day. It's wonderful. This is the day that the Lord